fine and dancing and enjoying themselves and so on. He got them drunk. Halfway through the party, he got this coffin and said, well, guys, you know, I got you something nice here, a nice gift. You will try it one by one. If it fits one of you, you can take it as a gift. What's the sarcophagus of the coffin a nice gift? You're invited to a party and then you find your host to get in your coffin. Try it if you like it, take it. So maybe it's not good, I mean, not a nice gift to us today, but to them it was a great gift because it means that I'm giving you something for your afterlife and I'm wishing you a better life in the after. This life will vanish sooner or later, but the afterlife is eternal and so on. Anyway, all of them tried the sarcophagus. It was mainly made for Osiris, so Osiris fits you fine, and Osiris was really tired and drunk and so on, and everybody didn't care about what's happening. Even brother Seth got the heavy lead, covered the sarcophagus, pushed in the water, the knife took it far away and disappeared. Yeah? About like 40, 50 years later, the faithful wife Isis realized that the husband was missing. And finally, at last, she decided to go and look for him, and she found the coffin, and just trying to make it very short and sweet because it's a huge, massive lecture anyway. She got the body and tried to wake him up. It didn't work. He was the first one to die. And Lord, what happened? Ra, what happened? Osiris is dead. What should I do? Mummify him. How to mummify him? He assigned Anubis, this one, Anubis, the jackal, as the god of mummification. So Anubis would work with Isis to teach her how to mummify the husband and so on. Put the mummy in the same coffin, done the mummification, put the mummy in the same coffin, and put the coffin in the marsh of the delta, and she was visiting the tomb every now and then, making offerings and stuff. And one day, he and his brother Seth found the coffin when he was hunting in the delta. It's not the one I made for my brother Osiris a long time ago, I think so. So let me see what happened to the body, because it's an experience. They haven't seen a dead body before. Osiris was the first one to die. He opened the sarcophagus and found the body is still in perfect condition because of mummification. So the story tells us that mummification is very important because it preserves the mummy or the body. Okay, what should I do now? If the body is left like this, then he would come back to the afterlife. His soul would recognize him for the afterlife, and then the gods will punish me for murdering him. What should I do? He was very evil. So he decided to destroy the body by chopping off his body. He got a sharp knife and started chopping the body in pieces, scattering the pieces far and wide all over the country to make it impossible for his soul to come and recognize him. Yeah, evil. How many pieces? The historians and the early travelers to Egypt mentioned different versions of the legend. One of them said 14 pieces, another one 16, and a third one said 42. 14, 16 are similar, but why 42? That's political. Because Egypt was divided into 42 states. Yeah, 42 nomes, 42 provinces, yeah? And each one of them was trying to gain the honor that we found a member of his body here. Osiris was a big figurehead. So it's an honor, yeah, to find the leg of Osiris here, or the head, or whatever. Yeah? A place called Abydos, which is one of the beautiful temples in north of Luxor. Abydos originally was Abydu. Abydu means the place of the head. So it is believed that the head of Osiris was found there in Abydos. Okay? Fine. Anyway, Isis went one day to the tomb, nothing is there. Lord, what happened? He told her the story. Isis, you have to go and look for and collect those pieces. Lord, I love my husband, but not that much. Now you're asking for too much. Okay, so I will help you, and I'll make you a great magician and provide you with 2 magic wings. Yeah? So you can fly like a bird. Okay, Lord, still difficult. Can you give me some more help? Yeah, I'll make your sister Nephthys also a great magician, and both of you flying like birds. When you go to museums and look at coffins and sarcophagi, you find the ladies with wings, like holding the coffins. Yeah? Those are the two ladies, Isis and Nephthys. Yeah? So anyway, they collected the different members of the body, and then she was given only one night to spend with her husband Osiris before he would be taken to heaven to become the god of the hereafter, and during that night they conceived the child Horus, the father. So here you can see that's Isis in the human form, and that's Osiris, and here's the king, Ramesses II. Yeah? And he's burning incense, while Isis is holding the sistrum, which is a musical instrument, like part of the ritual, and he was burning incense to Osiris. What is the connection between the pharaoh and Osiris? Here you can see the resurrection. Those who came to the lecture yesterday, I put this on. That's the father of Ramesses II, Seti I, from his temple Abydos, the place of the head, and that's the jet pillar, which is the backbone of Osiris, representing the resurrection of Osiris, that Osiris will resurrect from the dead for the afterlife, and he's handling the jet pillar to Isis, and she's receiving it from him. So the connection between the king and Osiris is very important, because the son of Isis and Osiris, Horus, yeah, the falcon, the king, whoever the king was sitting upon the throne of Egypt in the name of Horus. So he is the living image of Horus in his life. When he is dead, he will be mummified and taking the form of Osiris. That's to Osiris here. That's the mummy form. Yeah? You got it? So any of the kings will be Horus in their life, and after death, they will turn to be Osiris. Yeah? Osiris, by the way, is associated with the Orion star. And you see the similarity of the name, Osiris, Orion. So they believe that after death, they will turn to be like a shooting star. Okay, that's a making love scene. Yeah? An ancient Egyptian porn scene. And you can see here Osiris laying down as a mummy, and Isis as a bird flying over his body, yeah, receiving his seed. This is how they made love together and conceived the child Horus. Yeah? That's why Isis was named Virgin Mother Isis, because there was no actual making love between the two of them. He was there and mummified. So Horus was born as the child of Isis and Osiris. Was a little baby. He was in great danger because of his uncle Seth, who was searching for him everywhere and was trying to kill him because he's the seed of Osiris and he has to kill him and so on. Isis and her best friend Hathor, they both looked after the baby and they fed him well and they protected him and so on until he became young and strong man. And then they told him about what happened to his father. Now Horus, you go and fight the god of evil Seth for revenge. So this is from the temple of Edfu, and it's like a battle scene showing Horus on the boat, those little canoes, and Seth. That's Seth, that little tiny figure. Yeah? And it's actually the hippopotamus, but look at the size. You see here another one. It's like a very long corridor, and on the side of this corridor you have on the wall the same scene repeated several times. It's indication that it's endless battle between the good and the bad. Yeah, that's the bad. So also Horus was a falcon. So falcon is big, but not as big as the hippopotamus in the Nile. So that's the hippopotamus. As you can see, look at the size, exaggeration. That the good one is little tiny thing, you know. Did they kill him? Did Horus kill the god of evil Seth? No. They couldn't say that. If they said that Horus killed Seth, it means that there is no more evil on earth. And they wouldn't dare say that. They said that he just controlled him. So Horus is riding Seth and putting him under control. Okay? That's the maximum we can do. So Horus is here, and that's his mother Isis, attending his victory over Horus. There were many battles. Even in one of them, Horus lost his eye. Yeah? This one, the first picture, which is the eye of Horus. This one. That's one of the very famous Egyptian temples, yeah? The eye of Horus, what we call the Wijat eye. And it's said to be the eye of healing and protection. The eye of healing and protection. Since then, the legend of Isis and Osiris always say that it's the heart of the Egyptian mythology. That's Seth. And by the way, Seth also, he was known as the god of evil. He was also known as the god of the desert. Of course, the Nile Valley, full of wealth and food and water and so on. Desert is harsh and difficult. So Horus was the god of the fertile land, the Nile Valley, and Seth was the god of the desert. So they complete each other. So they respected Seth in a way, yeah, because he was protecting them from the different creatures in the desert and so on. So someone like the father of Ramesses II was named after Seth. His name was Seti I. So his name was after God Seth. Okay. When the capital of Egypt was moved to Luxor, they had to have sort of a religious change as well, because Luxor had its own local gods before being the capital. That local god was called Amun. Yeah? Amun, very similar to the word we use nowadays, Amen. Yeah? In Arabic or in Islam and Christianity, I think it's very similar. Amun. The god Amun was the local god of Luxor, and that's the human form of god Amun. A man with a long cane, walking stick, and holding the key of life in his right hand, and the two long feathers on top of his head. Okay. When they moved the capital to Luxor, they wanted to make the local gods Amun the main god of the whole of Egypt. So they joined Amun with the sun god Ra. Yeah? So that's the figure of Amun Ra, who was worshipped starting from 1500 BC in Luxor, ancient Thebes, and remained the main capital of the main god of Egypt until the very end of the Egyptian civilization. Alexander the Great, when he came to Egypt, he considered himself the son of Amun Ra. Yeah, you see that the religion lasted for a very long time. One of the most famous gods ever being worshipped in Egypt. Okay. This is the plan of an Egyptian temple. And actually the most well-preserved temple in Egypt is the temple of Edfu, which is halfway between Luxor and Aswan. We have to understand something very important about the Egyptian temples. The temples are not like churches, like here. They are not like mosques. They are not like synagogues. They are not like any sort of temple or active religious site nowadays. The temple was the house of the gods. That's it. So the one who was supposed to be there was the gods. Those who were allowed into the temple were the servants of the gods who were coming just to serve. It's not a place for the locals to come and practice and no. Only in big festivals, a selected number of the elite of the society were allowed to come into the open courts. So they have like side doorways. That's for the elite of the society, the high officials and stuff. That's the main entrance. So I got this plan because I would like to give you an idea about the ritual in an Egyptian temple. The king was the high priest of all temples in Egypt. Okay. And he had to act as a high priest sometimes. But he cannot be in all these temples at the same time. And he cannot look after all of them. So they used to assign a high priest of each temple who was acting as a high priest, but when the king was visiting that particular temple, so he was acting as the high priest, and the original high priest of the temple would be assisting him performing his duties. Very important thing happened and used to happen in the Egyptian temple, which is making offerings. Yeah? What have they offered to the gods? They have offered food, drinks, animals, birds, lotus, papyrus, gold, silver, precious stones, and even the fertile land in the town or the city, which is quite precious, was dedicated to the gods. So the king is going to the temple one day, and on the map, I'm dedicating this piece of land, let's say 5,000 acres of land or 10,000 acres of land, to God Horus or to goddess Isis or to heaven, whoever. Yeah. Of course, the god is like a little statue in the Holy of Holies, so he's not enjoying this wealth. Who does? The priest. So more temples means more money, means more power, means, So it's very important, and I will come to talk about the conflict when they changed the religion, what happened, and who won. So the offering, the most common offering is food and drink. Everywhere we go, temples and tombs, we find these offering tables full of food and drink. They never had human sacrifice. They never sacrificed human. Yeah? They sacrificed animals, yes, but they never sacrificed human. So the common offering is food and drinks. If it was food and drinks, do you think that this offering was daily, weekly, monthly, or annual offering? What do you think? Daily. Makes sense. Everything made sense in ancient Egypt. So it was a daily offering. And how many times a day? Yeah? What do you think? 5?
3.
3? Okay, they were 3 times. Yeah? Can you guess? Yeah, can you guess what time of the day?
3 p.m.
Okay, you may say breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So actually, maybe we have now breakfast, lunch, and dinner because in ancient Egypt, thousands of years ago, they used to have 3 times offering. But why it was 3 times offering? Yeah? In Egypt, as I mentioned before, although we had that large number of gods, they had only one main god, the sun god. In a country like Egypt, you cannot ignore the sun. You get up early with the sunrise, do anything and everything from sunrise to sunset. It gets dark, you go home, you sleep, you wake up the following morning and start again and so on. So everything is related to the sun god. And he was the supreme god of all the Egyptian gods. So everything has to be related to him. So the early offering, instead of breakfast, we say sunrise. Yeah? Then midday, then sunset. 3 times off. And the king had to come and make the offering himself 3 times a day. Of course not. He cannot do this. Yeah? Especially that he will go to all the temples of Egypt at the same time. He should be at sunrise here and there. Of course, the high priest was doing this, but when the king is attending a festival, so he's the one acting as a high priest and he is the one making the offerings. So that's the entrance of the temple. Those are the 2 towers, and they are well decorated with some beautiful offering scenes or metal scenes or whatever, and that's the main entrance here. So on the top of the towers, the pylon, they are hollow from inside, by the way, there are staircases going all the way up to the top, and some of the priests will be waiting on the top of the pylon, waiting for the king and high priest. When they are approaching, they start playing music and, and welcoming them, singing and chanting them. The priests who are working on the pylon are not allowed to join the procession in the open courts because that requires a higher rank of priests. So the number of the priests will decline when the king and high priests are going into the temple more nearer and nearer to the sanctuary or the holy host. So they get into the open courts, yeah. And in the middle of the open court, we should have like an altar for the offerings. So that where the offering took place. The offering was always in the open court. Sacrificing animals, or offering food, or drinks, whatever, name it. Okay? What do we usually do after we finish having a meal? Dealing with food. Before you sleep. If it's the morning meal, if it's breakfast, and you're not going back to bed, and you're going out, or whatever. Before that, there is a common thing you do before you do anything after the meal, which is to go and wash your hands, yeah, and clean it. Yeah? If it's the morning meal or the evening meal, before you go to work, before you go to bed, before you watch TV, before you do anything, you just go and wash your hands. So we expect the same thing or similar thing to be done, because everything is based on logic. So they were dealing with food and animals and stuff. So they move after that to the next section, which is, this is open section. Starting from here is roofed. Yeah? So that's what we call the hypostyle hall, which is the hall of columns. They are supporting the ceiling. In the hypostyle hall, we had two little chambers, one on the right and one on the left. And the one on the left was the small perfumery, where they kept the perfumed oils, lotus, jasmine and stuff, and the holy water. The Nile water was the holy water. I think this is why the Egyptians are always homesick when they travel abroad, more than any other nation. Because it goes back into the roots of Egypt that we believe if you are dead and you are not washed and purified in the Nile water, you are not wrapped in Egyptian linen, and you are not buried in the Egyptian soil, then there is no second life for you. Your life, your soul will be lost in the middle of nowhere. And we have a beautiful novel as a letter was written by one of the elite of the Egyptian society who, for a reason, ran away from the country and went to live in Palestine and so on. And he got married and had kids, and he was getting old and he was about to die, so he told his children that I want to go back to Egypt, but I have to ask the permission of the Pharaoh. And the guy's name Sinuhi, by the way. And he wrote a letter for the Pharaoh asking his permission to return back to Egypt and to die in Egypt, to be buried in Egypt. And he described this. It's one of the famous ancient Egyptian literature. So the Nile water, or the holy water, they worship the Nile as one of the famous gods. They believe that the Nile brings life, and the key of life is the ankh. The key of life is the center of life. They believe that the Nile god is using the key to open the gates of the river Nile in Central Africa, so the Nile comes in a great inundation and provides them with life. The temple itself was in the middle and surrounded by an outer wall. That outer wall, or the mud brick wall, was representing the ocean, which was, the water was covering everywhere, and then something appeared from this ocean at the beginning of creation, which was the top of a mountain, and a big bird landed, left an egg. From that egg was the creation of all the different creatures, which is very much like the Ark of Noah and the Great Floods. So when they formed those walls, the mud brick walls, and by the way, this is a recent photo of April, and the mud brick wall is survived, more than 2,300 years old, the mud brick wall, and it was buried anyway for many years. So the temple itself was rising from the water, so it's the beginning of creation. So here they had the purification after making the offerings, and then they go to the other side of the hypostyle hall for checking the documents. It was like a little office, little library, where they kept the documents on papyrus, and the king was checking on the documents of the temple. What have you done, my high priest, with the offerings from last time I was here? Yeah, how have you distributed the food and the wealth and the land and so on? When they finish, here it requires a higher rank of priest and less number, so it's quieter. getting smaller, quieter, cozy, darker. Yeah? Then they move to the next hypostyle hall, which is even smaller and more sacred, so it requires a higher rank of priests and less number, so it's much quieter, much darker, very good place for meditation. So they prepare the bodies by making the offerings and purification, then they start making meditation in the second hypostyle hall, and those are the last two stages to get ready before they get to the presence of the gods in the sanctuary of the Holy Ghost. From section to another, they drop number of priests, and it's getting quieter and quieter. The only people allowed in the Holy of Holies or in the sanctuary were the king and the high priest. No one else was allowed to see or to touch the statue of the God in the Holy of Holies. You can see surrounding here number of chambers, yeah, like storerooms. Those are to store the different equipment and different tools they use on daily basis for the rituals or for the treasures of the temple and so on. The key of life. Here is a beautiful scene showing Ra Horasti, the sun gods, Horus and Ra joined together, and he is pointing the key of life to the nose of the king. Yeah, to give him life, to give him long life on earth and after death. This is from the Valley of the Kings, by the way, and the colors are really vivid in many of these stones. Also, we have a beautiful libation scene that you can see two of the famous gods of Egypt, Horus, and the other one, Tot, the ibis-headed god Tot, not King Tot. King Tot was named after god Tot, Tutankhamun. Tot, this one, Ankh, the key of life, Ammon. Now we know the three of them, yeah? We've seen the god Ammon, in the key of life, and this Tot. Tot, Ankh, Ammon. So when you meet your friends, tell them, don't call him King Tot, yeah? His name is Tot, Ankh, Ammon, which means, if we translate it, the living image of the god Ammon. Okay? So, Tot is the god of wisdom and writing, who is supposed to write the names of the kings on the leaves of the tree of life in the form of cartouches, and God Horus, the god of protection. Each one of them is holding like a jar, and they are doing libation of the king who's standing in the middle. What's coming out of the jar is not water or liquids, but actually they are the temples, which are the keys of life and the stick of power. Yeah? Okay, that's to give them life and power. This is the plan of Karnak, and that's the innermost section and the old section of Karnak, and that's the sacred lake. Karnak is the largest ancient monument. This is another plan here, must be clear. What's running here is another extension of Karnak, and there is the beginning of the avenue of the Sphinx, which is running to the temple of Luxor, like 2 miles. Yeah. So that's Karnak, which is not a very good example for a temple, because Karnak, building temples in ancient Egypt was like a national project. So it could take like hundreds and hundreds of years. Eightfold, the one I showed you before, this one, took 180 years to build. 180 years. While Karnak took around 2,000 years to be finished. It's a national project. It's not like the tomb. The tomb is something personal. You build it for one king. If he's dead before it's finished, tough luck. They're going to use it unfinished. Yeah? But for the temple, it's a national project. I'm not building it for myself. I'm building it for the gods. So if I'm dead, then my successor will carry on. And something like Karnak was a great honor to have your name written down somewhere in Karnak. It's the house of the main god Amun-Ra. So there is nothing more important than Karnak. Edfu, they started building in the year 237 BC and they finished 57 BC. So it's about 180 years. While Karnak, it's about like 2,000 years. Okay, that's Amun and Ra. Give you like a little bit of a comparison between the gods and a little bit about each one of them. So Amun was the local god of Luxor, And Ra was the sun god, the main god from Heliopolis. Later on, they were joined together to form Amun Ra, and we saw this before. Isis, Osiris. Yeah, they were married and they had the son Horus. Isis was the goddess of love and beauty, and Osiris was the god of the hereafter, the one who's weighing the feather and finding out if he's good or bad. Then Hathor and Horus. When you read the name here written in English letter, it's pronounced Hathor. Yeah? But actually the original name, I say Hathor. Yeah? The original name is a combination of two words. Yeah? Hat, H-A-T, like hat, yeah? Which means house, and Hor is Horus. So it's the house of Horus. Hathor is the house of Horus. She helped his mother looking after him, and then they got married later on, forming a very famous couple, Horus and Hathor. And look at Hathor or Hathor, and how similar is she to Isis? The difference is that Isis got the little throne on the top of her head, and as she was the first queen upon the throne of Egypt next to her husband Osiris, before he got killed, the throne in ancient Egypt was Isis, means the throne. Isis, by the Greeks later on Isis, and then Isis. Isis, Isis. So Isis, Osiris, Hathor, and Horus. And then that's the sister of Isis. Yeah? Nephthys and Seth, the evil one, is in the form of the donkey. And Anubis, the beautiful black jackal that does of mummification, and Ma'at, with the feather on the top of her head, the goddess Ma'at, the goddess of justice. That's the god Men, the god of fertility. Originally the Nile was the god of fertility because it was giving fertility to the soil, but later on, about 1,500 years, they created another form of the god of fertility, a man. Looks very much like Amun with the two feathers, and his man who's here. It's a legend. I think it was a true story, happened in a way or another. That was a time of war when everybody from the village was called for the war and so on, and this guy was in the field or he didn't hear the call for a reason or another, he didn't join the army. But he was the only male in town, and they used to go for wars, like spend like a year or two before they come back. So he was the only man available in the village or in town, and he had an affair with all the females. So when he came back after the war, they were shocked. I mean, their wives had children and babies and bring us. What happened? He's the only man, so of course he's the prime suspect. So they decided to punish him, and how to punish him? They took him to desert and they cut off his arm, his left arm. Yeah, cut off his left arm, and they left him bleeding in the desert to death. But before they left, they were watching what's happening to him. While he was bleeding, the drops of blood on the sand of the desert turned to be plants. So it's reflecting how fertile the guy was, and they said that he must be a god, and they forgive him, and they made him the god of fertility. So the god of fertility, god Men. And Sekhmet, and funny to know that the war in ancient Egypt had a goddess, not a god. Yeah, had a local god of war called Montu, but the main goddess of war was Sekhmet, the lioness. Yeah, so Sekhmet, the lioness, and you can see that most of them they got like human figures and animal or bird heads. We've seen this before. That's Geb, Nut, and Shu, the god of air, trying to split them up, and that's Tot, the god of wisdom. About 1400 BC, something amazing happened in Egypt. A king came to the throne. His name was Amenhotep IV. And by the way, I tried as much as I could to translate some of the names, because the Egyptian names, each one has a meaning. So when I say Amenhotep, and you read this in some of the other books, Amenhotep looks or sounds very Greek. Amenhotep, Amon, the god Amon. Hotep means happy or satisfied. Yeah? So Amenhotep IV, this guy, who is married to the beautiful Nefertiti, yeah? For a reason or another, because he was educated in Oon and he was influenced by other old beliefs of the god Aten, and he changed his name and named himself Akhenaten. Akhenaten means the prophet of Aten or the beloved of Aten, and changed the religion from Amon-Ra to Aten. Aten is very different from the other gods, because the other gods have sort of manifestation, they have a figure, they have something to describe. But the god Aten, they said that he is not the solar disk. He is the hidden power behind the solar disk. And you cannot see him, because you cannot open your eyes in the sun. Yeah? You cannot see through. But when you look around you, when you look at your body, you look at the sky, you look at the rain, you look at the sea, look at anything and everything, you feel the power of God. Yeah? So he is, because they had to show him in a way or another. So he's shown as a solar disk and sending the sun rays into his human hands, as you can see, and each one of the human hands is holding the key of life, pointing it to the nose of the king and the queen. Yeah? So that's the god Aten and Akhenaten and Nefertiti, who changed everything in Egypt, changed art, changed the capital. They moved the capital from Luxor to further north, and they built a new city called Akhenaten, the horizon of the god Aten. They had a conflict with the priests of Amon-Ra. Who won? The priest. Yeah? So even the king and the royal family couldn't stand the power of the priest. Yeah? And what happened to that poor couple? Disappeared. Yeah? They just disappeared. We don't know what happened to them. And the one who came after them, ruling Egypt, was the little boy, the boy king, the golden pharaoh, Tutankhaten. Is he the same one? Yes. He was named Tutankhaten originally, and because his father Akhenaten disappeared or died, got killed or whatever, and those who took over, they were loyal to Amon-Ra, so he changed his name to be Tutankhamun. Yeah, he's the same one. But until he was 9 years old, he was called Tutankhaten. Yeah? And that's another figure of the god Aten. And the sun rays and the human hands. He's always accompanied by his beloved wife, Nefertiti. Yeah? So this is, ladies and gentlemen, briefly about the ancient Egyptian religion and gods. And the last slide here is just to show you where is the city of Akhenaten, the city of Akhenaten and Nefertiti, where they lived, and from there they disappeared, which is near to Cairo. Here, that's Abydos, if you remember I told you about this earlier on. Abydos, the place of the heads, and that's Luxor here. And here is the old location of the city of Akhenaten. If you've noticed my family name on my business card, it's El Minyawi, and it's named after the city Menya. And Menya is here, which is the town of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. That's the modern name of the city, Menya. Yeah? I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that I've covered most of the things related to religion and gods. I know that you can keep talking and talking, but I don't want to get you bored, and might have some questions. If you have any questions, so we can discuss it together before we finish. Do you have any questions? What's up?
Yes, is there any remaining group that still worships God?
No. Nobody in Egypt actually is practicing the old beliefs or the old religion. We have only two main religions are practiced in Egypt now, Islam and Christianity, Sunni sect and Coptic sect. But we do get some groups from other parts of the world. We have some American people that come to Egypt, and they believe that they are the descendants of the pharaohs, and they are related one way or another to the old beliefs, and they have rituals, and they do this. And actually, I would say that it's mostly American and French. Now it's start to be English as well, or British. You start to get some of these groups as well. They have sort of meditation and some religious rituals and things. But if you talk about the Egyptians, no, we don't worship those gods. And we think that it's very similar anyway. So it's the same origin and the same sort of concept. Because to me, religion, and I think it should be to everyone, religion is something to enhance the relationship between human and God. That's the first part, but it's not the most important part actually. The second part is to enhance the relationship among all of us. So how we treat each other. Yeah? So you can keep going to the church and mosque, whatever, doing pilgrimage, and but you're not good to your neighbor, or to your colleague at work, or to your wife, or to your husband. So if religion does not enhance your life and your attitude and your mentality, that's not. Because God doesn't need us. God doesn't need our worship and time in the church or in the mosque. He's much higher than this. If we go to the church or we go to the mosque, or if we don't even show up, you think that will change anything in God himself? No. God wants to see us all living in peace. So that's about religion. So
are there many people in Egypt who are not religious the way they are here in America?
Oh yes, now we start getting lots of people that don't really believe in religion, or maybe they are born by name Muslims or Christians, but they don't really practice. And
that's what I was saying.
Maybe we are, let's say, 2 or 3 decades behind the States and Europe, but what happened 30 years ago here in the States is happening now in Egypt. We lost lots of things, and strong family ties start to break up now because of cities are getting bigger and crazy, and so it's the same thing. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you, Nancy. I would like to say special thanks to Amy and Nancy. You've done a great job. I'm glad that they gave me this chance to meet up with you, and I hope that we can carry on our relationship. I have my business card and my website. It will be updated in a week's time, and might be some of these lectures on it as well. So glad to stay in touch with you.
Hisham, website is Egyptology with an H starting with a so.
That's easy. Egyptology.
And follow him, and he's adding more things all the time. And of course, you can be in touch with him. If you'd like to have a cookie or a small glass of wine and continue to have a conversation with Hisham, please join us. You can do that.
Is this the Sun session?
Yes, I've noticed. I've noticed it.
And just years and they gave me this years ago, and it doesn't tarnish anything. I don't know why, but I love
Yes.
That was very good. I really enjoyed this. Thank you very much. Many times when I've read a lot of Elizabeth Peters books, and I feel like I've walked into the middle of something, but you went back and kind of started at the beginning. It was very helpful.
It was very helpful.
Oh, I got one. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you again. It was really lovely.
Good. Are you enjoying Jackson?
Yes, it's a beautiful place. But I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Oh, you're on.
Yeah.